Hi, welcome to the show. Tonight we have a special edition with Dr. Jen Milus. I see you out there, Kenny. Hopefully we'll get your voice up and running in just a moment. So if you are over 40 and have you ever wondered about your bone health, osteoporosis, or the dreaded DEXA scan, if you've ever heard of that, this is one of the most important shows you probably are going to have. One of the most important shows of the year as we begin to age and we still try to stay healthy. There are things that we want to do that are vital to our health. The staggering statistics is that exactly 90% of scans that we have contain at least one error, and nearly half of all the cases, there are mistakes found. So tonight we have a very special guest, Dr. Jen Milus, a bone strategist, and she is coming tonight with a wealth of experience, a retired chiropractor. She has trained Olympic athletes. She's trained the Marines. So we are excited to have her in the room tonight, and she has an amazing story. So I would like to welcome Dr. Jen Milus to the show, and my co-host, Kenny Adams. And hopefully I'll be able to hear your voice soon, Kenny. You're looking cool out there.
Welcome back to Legends from the Future and Past, the podcast where we explore the stories of extraordinary people whose work is changing lives. Whether they're preserving wisdom from the past or pioneering the future, every guest has a legacy worth sharing. Today's guest has spent more than 3 decades helping people recover from injuries, reduce pain, and reclaim their mobility. From working with U.S. Marines and elite athletes to supporting Olympic hopefuls and everyday people, she's built a career dedicated to helping others become stronger and healthier. After serving 30 years as a chiropractor, she shifted her focus to a growing health crisis that affects millions of women bone health. Today, she specializes in helping women improve bone quality, strength, coordination, and confidence through evidence-based nutrition, exercise, education, and personalized coaching. She also educates people on the limitations and common errors found in DEXA bone density scans, empowering them to better understand their results and make informed decisions about their health before fractures and disability become a reality. Beyond her work with individuals, she's an engaging speaker who has presented to audiences ranging from military platoons of over 1,000 Marines to community groups of women looking to stay active and independent later in life. Her mission is simple: give women the knowledge and tools they need to take control of their skeletal health and live longer, stronger, more active lives. Please join me in welcoming bone health strategist, educator, retired chiropractor, and lifelong advocate for healthy aging.
Hi, Dr. Jen. How are you?
Hi, you guys. So happy to be here.
So excited to have you on the show. Oh my God. I want to thank you for gracing us with your presence tonight and being a part of the podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we just dig in and ask the million of questions that we have for you tonight. You know, my bones are starting to get a little old, so I have a lot of questions.
You're a whippersnapper. What are you talking about?
I don't know. These knees don't feel like it.
Well, I grew up in Annapolis, like down the street from Kenny Adams here. Wow. And I actually started lifting weights when I was 12 years old and was training in the same gym at Annapolis Senior High as him when we were in high school. So we've known each other since he was knee-high to a bullfrog. No, not me. I'm still knee-high to a bullfrog. But let's see. I grew up athletic, like doing endurance stuff and training and playing sports because my big brother was cool and I wanted to be like him. And I went to Annapolis Senior High and graduated, went to the University of Maryland and studied business and sports injuries and pre-med. So I kind of packed that all into one. And then I went to chiropractic school in California and barely ever to return until you get the old chick back. So I'm back in Maryland and it's great.
Well, welcome back to Maryland. Welcome back to Maryland. So, Kenny, let's test your mic a little bit. We still can't hear you. Not yet. Okay, well, just throw up some gang signs or some sign language. We got you. Well, Dr. Jim, we're going to go ahead and jump in. I read your bio. your bio is absolutely amazing. But what we're here for tonight is just talking about bone health, because you've done a lot of stuff in the field and I have a lot of questions. So first of all, you talked about the DEXA scan. Before we even go into that, can you just tell people what that is before I just jump into questions? Because a lot of individuals or the guests may not know, the viewers may not know what that is. And then some are a lot younger, they may not know for quite some time. But if you could just tell us what that is.
Well, they should know in their 20s and 30s, I have to say. Okay, so DEXA is actually an acronym. It's actually not DEXA, it's DXA, dual X-ray absorptiometry. And so it's DXA, but they make it into DEXA because it's easier to say, right? And that this is a machine that's like it's a low level X-ray machine, and you put people in a certain position and you take position or pictures or low level X-rays of their body in different places, and it reads how much calcium and or collagen is in the bones. And it actually came out came into use in the 90s. It's a relatively new technology, so it's not well used and not well understood and not well explained. So it has limitations.
Okay. So I had read some of your articles, and you're saying that 90% of DEXA scans contain errors, and nearly half are significant enough to alter the treatment. So how does a patient even begin to navigate through this, and what questions should they ask their doctor to ensure that they're getting an accurate scan?
Okay, so the first thing is that I got that information from a seminar with the International Society of Clinical Densitometrists that I study underneath. And they take no joy in telling you that. I mean, that medical doctors get really mad at me when I point that out, because they're doing the best they can, but there are limitations to the machine and limitations to the humans that use the machine. So the deal is if you get a DEXA scan, it pays to always go to the same place, the same technologist, make sure it's calibrated, make sure the positioning is completely right, and make sure the reader is educated in what these things mean and if the positioning is wrong, because it can change everything. And that's how errors happen, because any of those things can cause a read that says you have more bone density than you do or less bone density than you do. And if you don't know how to read them properly or take them properly, then you have a problem. And I'd say a lot of people will take a DEXA scan as the gold standard, and it is the best technology we have for reading bone density, but there are so many other things that go into a diagnosis. It's just one piece, because if someone's bone density reads low but they have good bone quality, they're not in near as much danger as someone who has terrible bone quality and bone quantity, right? Or bone, anyway, we'll get back to that. But I'd say the first thing is don't panic, because it took you a long time to get there. It starts, maximum bone density is 28 years old. You start losing bone after 28. It just accelerates when you hit 45 or 50. So don't panic and find the proper doctor. And my take on it is get someone who really knows all about bone.
Tell Armand, what are you doing back there in the background? We hear too much music, like there's a party going on in the back.
He's playing music. But anyway, so get a second opinion from a certified clinical densitometrist. That would be the first step. 2 steps. Don't panic and get a second opinion.
Okay. I love that. I love that. So you talked about traditional medicine a little bit, and, you know, doctors, they have what they have, right? They work with whatever it is that they can work with. So traditional medicine often treats bone loss as an inevitable part of aging, that can usually be managed with a pill. So that's what most of us think anyway when we walk into the office. It's like, okay, fix me. Rather looking at a holistic approach, it's more of give me a pill, let me have whatever it is you have. And you advocate for bone quality over bone quantity. And you just said that. So what's the difference in why is it important, and what's the real secret to staying fracture free? Because I've had let me see, over the years in the military, I've had about 3 stress fractures.
Oh,
And
yeah.
some of them, can't even figure out where they come from too, in the same foot. And then the other one, I don't know, but
Hmm.
what would you
Okay,
say?
so bone quantity is how much calcium is in the bones. And that's what the DEXA scan reads. But there's another part of the DEXA machine that's special software called TBS, trabecular bone score. The trabecular bone score is how much collagen is in your bones. So if you have more collagen in your bones, you are less apt to fracture because you can bend those bones without actually having them splinter or break. And you can measure it with the DEXA scan, but you have to make sure you're using the right machine with the right software, and they know how to use, and you need to know how to use it. Now, for someone like you, if you are having fractures over and over again, and they're explained by you're running too much, your shoes are old, you're carrying a pack like a lot of people do in the military, and you don't have the proper footwear, that could be a reason. But fractures that just happen, like stepping off a curb or falling against a wall and putting your hand out and breaking your wrist, like those things don't make sense. That's when you're in it, when you're more in trouble. Is the fractures that are a surprise, that you go, how did I do that?
Mhm.
That's scary. Yeah.
Okay, so, and I know this podcast is not just geared toward women, but because of most women between their 40s and 50s, that's where we probably start seeing the bone loss, probably start having some of the fractures, and start looking for red flags, so to speak. For women in their 40s and 50s who just got diagnosed with osteopenia, what are some immediate red flags that they need to be looking for, or some of the common pitfalls that we should be aware of and not panic about?
Well, I mean, I think everybody should have their first DEXA scan at 40. Period. Unless my grandmother died of osteoporosis, unless their grandmother died of it, or their mother has had repeated fractures and been diagnosed with it, then they should get checked at like 35. And here's the thing, you can't take back what you did when you were younger.
Mhm.
So I should have gotten my first DEXA scan when I was 40. I was doing everything right except the collagen thing. I Because I knew that I was in danger because of my grandmother, the proper nutrition and diet and stuff. And I think I mean, geez, you really got to look at your history.
Mhm.
This is going to sound like, in high school, were you anorexic? Did you ever use recreational drugs? Did you drink a little bit too much? Are you diabetic? Have you been on corticosteroids? There are all kinds of different warning signs that can add up
Mhm.
earlier or for different reasons than just age. And there's about 24 labs that should be run in order to figure out what the actual cause is. Because if you just hop right into taking like Fosamax or some drug and you don't have the real cause because you didn't run the right labs, then it's not going to help. And then you're on a drug. And
Mhm.
some of these drugs you can't go off of. You have to take them for the rest of your life, or your bone density just tanks.
Did
So,
you? So, Kenny, what I'm going to do, because we're still having a few technical difficulties, but I know Kenny has a few questions.
mhm.
So I'm going to let you, I apologize for the feedback.
Yes, I apologize, Jen. I don't know what's going on here. I'm having some technical difficulties all of a sudden. I don't know. But you said 90. I read 90% can be
Ha-
errors.
have one error. 90% of all DEXA scans have at least one error. And that could be like the leg is twisted too much, the spine isn't flat against the machine, there's arthritis in the area, and that added calcium ups the bone density in the machine's view. I've seen DEXA scans with a hip replacement in there, and then it says your bone density is much higher than it is. Well, hello, that's titanium, but the machine doesn't know that. You know, there are a lot of really silly errors. It's crazy, right? 90%. Mm-hmm.
Silly errors.
Yeah.
Silly errors, but this is a very serious condition, very serious conversation.
Yeah.
So what else? Like you said, do you recommend second opinions when getting this diagnosis, or?
Yes. I definitely recommend a second opinion, because that doc might say, oh yeah, well, yeah, there's arthritis in here, or this picture only shows 3/4 of what we needed to see, and therefore it's reading it wrong. Yeah. A second opinion, I think, before you go on any med ever in your life, but certainly the bone meds, because the DEXA scan is so, I don't want to say unreliable. It's just not it's not the whole picture. It's a person. We're looking at a person. We're not looking at just a picture, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, and I know this one is a little off. You talk about arthritis. So, what would you recommend to patients that go in when they're looking for a second opinion? What is the best way for them to advocate for their health? Because sometimes it's just like, I go in, my doctor tells me something, this is what you need. I take it as gospel, I take it at face value, because I don't really know, right? So,
Mhm.
what would you recommend if they go back for a second opinion, which a lot of people won't sometimes? But
Mhm.
when they go back, what should they be asking? What type of questions should they be challenging their providers with to get the answers they need?
See, and this is the problem in modern medicine today, is that these docs belong to their little club of the HMO or the PPO, and they only have 10 minutes to talk to you. That is a crime. And you know, as a health coach, and I didn't mention on my resume that I'm a health coach too. And I'm actually certified as one. I just don't always tell people that. But it would be best to find someone else, not just a certified clinical densitometrist, to get a second opinion from, but someone that they work with that's either a physical therapist or a personal trainer who understands this situation. Because there are ways through nutrition, diet, exercise, and supplementation that you can make a difference.
Mhm.
But the doctors never have time to talk to you about it. That is the hard part of it. They don't. They're like, give you the pill, walk away. You know, well, my first step would be like, I'm going to go fill this prescription because it only costs me $3 to do it. But then I'm going to go home, and there's this little machine now called Chat GPT. And I have had great experience on there, or whatever, you know, AI there is, to ask. It's smart. And I would want to know all the side effects of that drug before I decided. Side effects might be rare, but boy, they really suck when you're the person who has them.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. And so I would look up all of that, and then I would try to get with someone, and that doctor might not believe in the alternative person, the health coach or the personal trainer or the physical therapist, or in this, you know, in my case, I just happened to be a chiropractor. But I would ask around, because the doc's not going to have time to explain it to them. They're just not.
That's a very important point. A lot of people don't go get the second opinion because they're terrified from the first opinion.
Mhm.
So getting a second opinion is really very important. Very important.
Yeah. Well, and if someone says, "Oh boy, you have osteoporosis," just off a DEXA scan, and they haven't read those 24 extra labs that they don't even know about, and they're putting you on a med. Well, I don't know how that's even fair, much less legal. Right? And now they've scared this person. And if they haven't had a fracture, they have time to learn. And there are programs and classes. I put on a class. I work with a mentor who does the same thing. And she's in California. I'm in Maryland. And you can ask these questions of somebody who's not prescribing the drugs or getting a free vacation for shut up, Jen. Not right? Not getting a free vacation for prescribing the same drug over and over and over again, right? So, yeah.
I guess it kind of ties into when you said you go to a doctor, we went over, and the next thing you know, we had a bottle of pills.
Yeah.
That ties big pharma thing that we've been talking about forever.
Right. Well, prevention is key. Inflammation is the root of all evil, and prevention is key. And you can reduce a lot of inflammation by diet and exercise. And you can add bone density, strength, and balance by exercise. What's wrong here? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
So oh, no. I was going to say, I love that. Were you going to say something, Kenny? Oh, okay. So I love the fact that you're talking about strength and exercise, which causes me to go into another topic. So you've trained Marines, Olympic athletes, all the way into their elite aging. So I do have some questions on that as I've hit 21. No, I'll joke.
Okay. Just wait 1 second. I did not train Marines. I worked out in the gym with them. I was their doctor. I was their spine doctor, their chiropractor. Everything else you said is completely right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you've worked with Olympic synchronized swimmers, which I thought was interesting. I don't see that very much on any podcast. You know, it's a fantasy of mine. I see it on TV. You know, get your umbrellas, get going in the water, whatever it takes. And
with your high heels on.
That's it. Exactly. Except we're not dropping it like it's hot in the water. We're just splashing it like it's whatever.
Right.
What elite training principles do you translate from high performance worlds to like a 70-year-old, so to speak, that a 70-year-old woman that's coming into bodybuilding? And it really can be any age, right? Because we can start at any age. But now that I go to the gym and I'm training individuals, I'm starting to see women come to the table at a much later age, and I'm impressed.
It takes a lot of courage to do that, because there's a lot of fear and shame about not being in shape when we get in our 40s, 50s, 60s. And man, give us a break. We had jobs or careers and raised children and took care of our husbands and took care of everybody else but ourselves. And now all of a sudden I go to the gym and I'm a little bit chubby, and people are not as strong as I want to be, or don't know how to use the gym. And I have fear that people are judging me because everybody's so superficial these days, right? So, but I also did strength training for injury prevention for firefighters. With Kate, the specific synchronized swimmer that I trained, I just wanted to make her lean and beautiful. With the firefighters, I just wanted to make them strong so they wouldn't get injured. With this population who hasn't spent their life in the gym like I have, I am really concerned about injury. And for women who are susceptible to, say, like a dowager's hump, osteoporosis, fractures in their spine, I say the most important things are exercise balance. I didn't mention that. I'm a muscle balance and function specialist. Everything we do is in front. Like, imagine the forward roll of the shoulders, right? And this is everything you do. I'm talking about taking out the garbage, shoveling the snow, putting the groceries in any mowing the lawn. Anything you do is all in front, and your pecs and all the muscles in the front become shortened. and the muscles in the back become weak as you start to lean forward. And I think the muscle balance thing has to be created by exercising your posterior chain. And that's everything from your calves and hamstrings and glutes, quadratus lumborum, paraspinals, rhomboids, traps, and the muscles in the back of your neck twice as much as you exercise the front. And you need to stretch the front twice as much as you stretch the back. Does that make sense?
It does. Question. So me leaning forward don't cause this fupa I got? That's not what that is? The fupa I got? Jen said no, we're not going to go there. Kenny, did you have a question for Jen on that?
I really never heard it put that way. Everything we do, and I thought about it while you were saying it, everything we do into the front, morning on, getting work together, everything you said, and our back gets weak. I don't know if I'm missing out here, but I never heard it put that way.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. You see people in the gym and during chest. How much do you bench? How much do you bench? How much do you bench? And bicep curls. And they're doing that twice as, and you need to be working your posterior delts. And yeah. And your triceps and your back. Yeah. It's crazy. And I didn't know that until I took a seminar. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. And the guy, a physical therapist, was giving it. He pointed out, he's like, Jen, you got no hamstrings. You might not have problems now, but you're gonna if you don't fix this. And that's when I really started focusing on that. And then when I started focusing more on osteoporosis, I realized that this is adding insult to injury for women who are prone to vertebral body fractures in the front and a dowager's hump.
Wow.
From other people and working out on your own as opposed to your previous career as a chiropractor. That's something you picked up. Hey, everything in the front, you need to do your back.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well, so I don't know what you just asked me.
Say it one more time, Kenny.
Let me slow it down a little bit. You picked up what you said about everything being in the front, groceries, mowing lawn, and doing that back. That's something you picked up from, you said, someone in a gym or you were working out, as opposed to you in your previous profession as a chiropractor?
Oh gosh, you know, that is such a great question, because when people ask me questions like this, I have to say I started studying the human body when I was 14, right? And when I know things, sometimes I don't remember where I learned it. I can't tell you page, chapter, paragraph, line of where I learned that, but it's 35 years of maybe 40 years of watching people. Like I watch injuries that happen, and I watch people with tech neck and people who like knit all the time or type all the time or work out improperly. And it's just observations over 40 years of watching it, Kenny. I gather information all day, every day. So go ahead and get up and walk away, and I'll analyze how you walk. Because I can't help myself.
I love that.
I'll probably need it.
What?
You said, what did you say, Kenny? Say it one more time. You're even starting to break up on my end.
I didn't hear that last thing you said, Kenny.
I think even coming through, I'm not sure if it's something on. There we go. We can hear you now.
All right. Here we go.
I can hear you, Kenny.
We can hear you.
Okay. I lost.
So we're getting feedback, but I do have a question,
Okay.
Dr. Jen, because you talked about, injuries and prevention. So I have a question because I was reading about spinal compression, and I know that is something that you practice, something that you have had a lot of patients for that, and you've worked with military a lot with spinal compression or spinal axle compression. So how does that research apply to the aging population, and how can we prevent the spinal degeneration in our population? And I know we talked about the Dowager's hump or whatever, but I think about all the years that I was in the military, and there are probably quite a few individuals that are sitting out in the audience listening. We've rucked, we've done all this stuff, and now later on in life, we're having whatever issues are going on with any nerve issues. So, can you talk that piece a little bit about spinal compression?
So that research and that article, I can't believe you found that.
I
I'm
did a
proud
lot
of
of
you.
digging. I was very impressed with you.
I am very proud of you for figuring that out, because it's somewhere in my files that I started doing that research because at first, because I had an expert witness case of a kid who was a basketball player whose coach made him wear a 25-pound weight vest to practice. And I'm talking about 2 hours of running, layups, jumping, and his spine just completely like collapsed in a way a young person's spine does. And I'll tell you the difference, because it's very different. When I wrote that article, it was actually right when I started working with the Marine Corps, because how a young Marine or that kid's spine behaved with that extra compression is different than an older woman's spine would behave, because the spine is different during different times of your life. When you're a young person, and I've only really dealt with men for the most part, because Marines are men, and that guy's a man. That kid was a man, a young man. So when your spine is young, your bones are stronger, right? And the discs, that's the cushy part between the vertebral bones, right, are full of water. And when you ruck, don't get me started on how harmful that is and why it doesn't need to be done that way. When you ruck and you march 24 hours with 250 pounds on your spine, which you would never do in battle, it's just ridiculous that they do that. It's just torture for no reason. But anyway, when you compress the spine like that, the disc is still full of water, right? And so the outsides of the disc give, right? But the inside, where the nucleus is, the real smushy part, that part stays there. And as you push down and these guys give out, that nucleus pushes up and down into the end plates of the vertebra above and below. And the fracture comes in the top. And so that marshmallow shaped vertebra becomes invaginated or breaks in the end plate. And it's still really painful, and they still make them rock like that. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's very painful, but it doesn't cause nerve pain, and it doesn't usually cause fractures in other parts of the vertebrae. It doesn't usually cause like nerve interference, like chopping off a nerve, as you would if you had a fracture that affected the nerve that comes out the side. And it doesn't affect the central canal where the spinal cord goes, right? So if you're going to have a spinal fracture when you're 18 or 20, it's a good one to have, right? If you're going to have one. But it doesn't mean they're not going to have degenerative disc disease later on in life, because now their disc is compromised and all the fibers in there are split, and now the disc just sloshes around. And and so the body lays down calcium and tries to support it, and they get arthritis. These guys have the spine of a 70-year-old when they're 22. It's crazy, right? Yeah. So that's a different thing, because it's the top and the bottom of the vertebrae that give. In an older person, the discs kind of lose water, and so that nucleus, when you compress a spine, is not going to push up and down on the end plates of the vertebrae above and below, and it thins out and loses water, and then you lose bone density, and you do everything in front your whole life, right? You're more prone to have anterior body fractures. That means in the front of the vertebrae. And it's not just that you've lost integrity in the spine bones. It's that your body is going to keep what it needs the most. Think about this, right? Your spinal cord runs down the back of your spine. And if your body has to choose between holding on to calcium in the back of the vertebrae to protect your spinal cord or the front of your vertebrae, and you're leaning forward all the time, it's going to give up on the front of the vertebrae. And then you do everything in front all your life. And one day you open a window or you pick up a suitcase and in the front, and the back stays more normal height. So spinal axial compression syndrome, that article and all that research was not even about older people or osteoporosis. It was about the young men and the damage that I saw happening to Marines. And it upset me. If you if you read that article, it upset me because there's no reason. There's no reason for it.
Wow.
So, yeah. Okay. So Melissa, and it's not like I don't value what they do. It's not that I don't think it's important. It's that if you put a 250-pound worth of Kevlar vest, pack, ammo, and machine gun on someone's spine, that's one thing. If you have them march for 5 or 10 or 25 minutes,
12 miles.
Right, or 24 hours. They did it at 29 Palms. 24 hours.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what happened in the end that really just sent me over the edge. But yes, 12 miles like that. It's 250 pounds. Your spine will fail. You're not weak. You're normal. Don't make him into a PUSSY by telling them that they need to just get stronger, because it's not a matter of strength. It's a matter of human physiology. And it's not just that. It's that then they put them into a 7-ton and they drive them into the desert for hours with this stuff on their back. And they're going like this, compressing that spine over and over and over for hours and hours and hours. And they can't complain because then they get called names, right? And then they have to jump out 6 feet down. And you can't imagine the damage. I saw these, oh my gosh, these they're younger than my daughter. I mean, at the time she was, almost their age. But they're never going to march for 24 hours. They're always going to be driven in. Why can't they take that stuff off their spine and put it on the floor between their legs and then go down a ramp or down a ladder with that stuff on? Why can't they do that? They have radar. They know who's coming when. It's just disrespectful and cruel to their human body. And you experienced it too, right? So I love the military. I love the Marines. I just don't like the way they treat each other. And I know much less about the other branches. But okay, sorry. That was my rant.
No, that's good. I love that passion and that fire and that.
Oh, shoot. And this will be my final thing about it.
No, you're good.
I used to go to work at 5 a.m. so I could work out and then start seeing patients. And I was always the first person in the hospital at Bush Naval Hospital in 29 Palms. And the gym was downstairs. Then I would go up the elevator and out into my office. And I was walking down the corridor in the basement of the hospital. And this gurney goes by with a body bag.
Oh, wow.
And this, I'm sorry. This chief I know was right after. I was like, what is that? What happened? This guy had marched so long, he got tired and fell over in front of a tank and he got run over.
Wow. That's heavy.
What was the point in that? That was not his fault. Anyway, okay, let's move on to something happier. But I became very protective of those guys, and yeah. Anyway.
Something happier. I know Kenny had some questions.
Yes, you set us up for that was a great segue, Jen. I want to talk about your 3,100-mile bike ride.
100?
3,100.
Oh,
3,100.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jen said, get it right.
Yeah.
3,100 miles in a day. Okay, so we're talking about the 3,100-mile bike ride. How did you get into it? How did that all come about?
How'd that come about? Okay, so Kenny, you knew me when I was doing this crazy stuff. So when I was a kid, I started doing distance fundraisers on my bike when I was 8. The first one I did with my little bike with just one speed, little tiny handlebar. It was a little Raleigh, like a Schwinn type thing, and 25 miles. And the next year I did 20. The next year I did 50 miles, and the next year I did it on my unicycle. You can't imagine how much my crotch hurt. But anyway, 25 miles on a unicycle. Okay, that's a nightmare. But let's move on. Anyway, and then during high school, I just did what I did. You knew me. I was playing sports. I was busy. I did a cradle-a-thon where I cradled the lacrosse ball for 12 hours and ran back and forth to raise money. Anyway, so I'd always kind of been into endurance stuff, marathons or 100-mile runs, all that in chiropractic school. Just crazy stuff because I could. Like, I could tell my legs to do something and they'd be like, okay, And and one time in college, I was a lifeguard at Sandy Point State Park. Do you remember that? Sandy Point? And I was sitting up in my little, stand, and this guy comes up next to me, and I kid you not, I could smell him from 6 feet away. And he's got this fat, tired bike that was like a dinosaur of a mountain bike, kind of fat, road flats. And he comes up and he goes, so is this it? And I was like, what? What? And he goes, is this the ocean? And I looked at him. He was covered with bike grease. He just had on a pair of shorts. There weren't even bike shorts then. I have I can't even understand how much that hurt him, right? To be riding with just regular shorts, right? You can imagine. And I said, is it what? He goes, is this the ocean? And I said, dude, can you see the shore on the other side? And he was like, yeah. I said, well, then it ain't the ocean.
He was hallucinating.
No, he was just dumb. I'm just kidding. Oh man. Anyway, he was from California. No, he said, oh, well, what is it? And I said, well, it's at Chesapeake Bay. And if you go over that big bridge right there, it's about another 100 miles to the ocean, and go for it. And I said, where'd you come from? And he goes, I rode my bike from California. I was like, oh, you did? And he's like, yeah, I did it in 30 days. And I was like, that's crazy. I want to be you. And I was 19. I mean, there was no way I had enough money or enough time I could have figured it out physically then, much easier than now. But I just never did it. So by the time I was 59 this spring, I decided to do it based on, I've had 3 near-death experiences that I don't necessarily want to share too much about, but 2 of them were suffocating. I lost my airway twice, and one of them was something else. But anyway, I finally decided after last summer, I may not live forever. I need to do some stuff. And I've traveled, I've done stuff, but I have always wanted to do this. And I decided I was going to ride my bike across the country. And at first, I was going to do it by myself. Bad idea. I'm talking about grizzly bears and rapists and dumb idea, right? What?
You started in California?
Yeah. But so I found a tour company, and it's called Woman Tours. And yes, we flew from all over the country. I didn't know any of these people. We flew to San Diego, spent a night in a hotel, had a welcome dinner, and we went to the beach the next morning and started out. And we rode for 58 days.
I'm following you each and every day. You were always somewhere else in the picture with someone and on trend. Amazing. But what did you prepare for that?
He said, what did you do to prepare for that?
Oh, okay. So as I mentioned before, this was not my first rodeo. I used to do centuries 100-mile bike rides and, rode my mountain bike for days or hours or whatever. So I had already experienced long distance things, so I knew how to train. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. So part of what I know is that stuff, right? So last summer, I decided I was going to do this, and I don't do well in the heat, so I have a Peloton. And I started riding my Peloton because it was too hot. And I didn't want to be outside in the heat because I don't like heat. And I was doing some riding, but not a lot in the heat. And then my health crisis got worse, had a surgery, blah, 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 right around Thanksgiving. And that was when I was built up on my Peloton to riding about 150, 175 miles in a week. On my Peloton. That's a lot of classes, dude. I was like, and then, Maryland in January and February, I built up until the end of February to 300 miles a week on my Peloton.
Wow.
And I know. I would watch movies. I would play on Facebook. I had a little special thing for my computer so I could type on my computer. I would listen to music. I would take Peloton classes, and it was everything from riding through the Dolomites to, HIIT training, hitting hills and stuff like that. But I did not train outside. Isn't that dumb? But
that's amazing is what that is. That's absolutely amazing.
And I would get up in the morning and have coffee and breakfast, and then I would ride all day. Some days I'd just ride 8 hours, and my family was like, "Are you crazy? What are you doing?" But I had to be prepared. My behind had to be prepared. My legs had to be prepared. And I was riding 5 or 6 days a week and trying to imitate what I would have to do by building up by 10 or 20 miles per week, and still going to the gym and still stretching and still eating right and all that stuff, right? But yeah. And
do this preparation.
How long did you prepare for it?
I made the decision in October. So the beginning of October, November, surgery ended November, had to take a month off.
Wow.
December, January, and February, 5 months. I would not suggest anybody do that. Unless they're really nuts or a really experienced distance cyclist. Because it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
We all heard the sunshine and rainbows. It was a great ride. But tell us about some of the challenges that you had on this 3,100-mile cross-country journey.
Okay. I have 2 crazy stories. I'll tell the wind one first. Okay. I don't know where we were, maybe in New Mexico, because it all blends together, right? And we're climbing like 7,000 feet a day, right? Riding for 8 or 10 hours, right? And we had 23 riders, so we're spread out. I'm by myself, right? Most of the time, which is good for you mentally because it gives you clarity and time to think, right? I'm going up this hill, and you get to the top of those hills, you never really think about wind when you're in a car, but the wind's whipping and you're going up and it's cut out, right? And you're going through this thing, a 3-sided tunnel, and there's no wind in there. There's just 18 wheelers, a white line, a rumble strip, and 4 feet on the right side of that rumble strip. And all of a sudden there's no wind, so everything's easy. And I'm thinking, or easier. I'm on the top of this hill. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to come out of here and the wind is going to hit me and it's going to be crazy. That was an understatement. So I come out and the wind hits me, and it was a gust. It felt like it was 50 miles an hour. I kid you not. It picked me up and moved me over 4 feet from just right at the rumble strip to almost down the cliff. And so I'm leaning like 45 degrees to the side, trying to make sure I don't fall out. I'm leaning into the wind, right? And my tires are like this far from the cliff. There's no like metal rail. There's nothing there. And you know that song, and this will be the day that I die. I'm singing it out loud. And this will be the day that I die, right? I won't spare you, or I'm going to spare you. I'm not a good singer, but it was, and so then I'm tilted over so much that my head was over top the rumble strip, which is right next to the white line. And this 18-wheeler goes by me at about 80 miles an hour. And guess what? All of a sudden, the side wind stops. So I'm here looking over the cliff, right? Because the wind stops. Then the wind from the truck takes me and it's behind me. And all of a sudden I'm pushed forward by about 20 extra miles an hour. And I'm like, this is the day that I die. And then the truck is passed and the wind hits again. So I've gone from, here to here to here to whoa to then the wind again, and I'm leaning back into the wind. And I didn't stop because I thought, if I stop, I'm just here for longer. Mm-hmm. And then anyway, so I got then down over a bridge to the SAG stops, support and gear stop, and I said to Lauren, I was like, Lauren, I'm still alive. I can't believe it. And I told her that story, and she's like, yep, you're not the only one. Yeah. Wow. So that was crazy, absolutely crazy. And then that was not as good as the next one. Okay, so I am a dog lover. My daughter calls me dogma, like your dogma, dog mother. Every dog I ever meet loves me. Even the pit bull who bit me and ruined my career loved me. She bit me by mistake. She was trying to bite my dog. She wasn't trying to bite me, but it didn't matter. It still did what it did. But anyway, so we are outside of Austin, Texas. I'm on my brand new, beautiful, super fast, super light Trek Madone. And that bike, like, it's turbo. I mean, I pedal, but it's really fast. Thank God. And I come up to this intersection right outside of Bastrop. Bastrop is now where Twitter is and all of Elon Musk's crap, but on, all his industrial complex. But on the outside is like these backcountry roads with trailers and dogs that don't stay home. There's no fence. There's no, and I come up to this intersection and I have like this whistle attached to my Camelback, because you need water, you never know, right? And I had bottles, and all of a sudden 9 dogs come at me.
Oh, wow. And
I know Kenny's eyes are popping out. It was like a pit bull, an Akita, a German Shepherd, a pit lab mix. It was a hound dog. It was 9 gigantic dogs. Okay, there were some 60 pounders, but most of them were 80 pounds, right? Barking at me. And I'm like, what's my solution? What do you do? Get off your bike and hope they just don't like that it's just the bike they don't like, right? That's not my solution. My solution is go faster, right? So I got the whistle in my mouth because I'm riding with the whistle in my mouth because I know there's dogs loose in Texas, right? And I just speed up and I'm kind of losing them and I'm blowing the whistle and sprinting and yelling at them. If you ever had hypoxia, this is the time, right? I'm sprinting as fast as I can. I'm screaming, go home, tweet, go home. And nobody comes out to get their dang dog, right? Nobody, because they don't care. And I turn the corner and I think, I got him. I beat them. I beat them. I turned the corner and they cut through the yard. And they come at me, and I guess if I could have let go of one of my handlebars, I could have sprayed them with my water bottle, but it was all I could do to just go faster, yell and blow that whistle. And I get about 3 miles down the road, and for some crazy reason, I was in front that day. Like I hit the traffic lights right that day. And there was 23 other riders behind me. And all I can think about is, oh man, that's dog meat. I got to do something, right? So I text our fearless leader, Cindy, and I was like, Cindy, I'm at mile blah, 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 based on my GPS, and I just got accosted by 9 big dogs. And there's 23 people behind me, and you have to save them. And she's like, but I'm supposed to do a SAG stop for you. Are you okay with water? I was like, I got my hands and legs. Like, I'll knock on a door. Please don't worry about me. Go protect them, right? And so I just kept riding, and apparently she went back and stopped everybody before the turn, because I gave her the intersection, the name of the streets, right? And stopped everybody, and then took like 8 riders at once, and she would drive along nice and slow with the riders on one side and drop beef jerky out the window the other side. So the dogs
works.
Right? Think about it, right? So the dogs would eat the jerky or whatever she was giving them, or, or be distracted by her. And she got all of them passed, and nobody got bit that day. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it is. And then one more, Kenny, because this is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say we were in Tempe, Arizona, and I got roomed. We changed roommates every night, and I got roomed with this amazing person, and she was a world-class triathlete. Like, I didn't deserve to be riding with some of these people. They're such badasses, and I'm like, I'm just a hack, right? and anyway, her name was Erica, and I by then had named her Turbo, because all the rest of us were on these like really fast, light road bikes, and she did this on a gravel bike, which is halfway between a road bike and a mountain bike. Fatter tires, heavier bike, and she was the fastest rider. So anyway, so we're sitting in our room, and Turbo's like, so do you think you can do this? And it'd been about 5 or 7 days, I don't know, Arizona, right? And I'd already had some sun rash all over my legs, and she had, I think, 4 flats by then, and had her chain fly off and like wrap around her ankle. I mean, she was struggling, right? It was hard. She's tough though. I mean, unbelievably tough. And she's like, do you think you can do this? And I was like, at first my head's going, I'm offended. She doesn't think I can do this, right? And I was like, well, yeah. And so a couple of minutes later, she goes, my husband's calling, I got to go. Apparently, she went and called her husband and was like, you got to come get me. Come fly to Phoenix and get me. I can't do this. And I didn't realize until the very end, when I talked to a few more people, and she gave her little speech at the end. We all gave a little, speech. She didn't think she could do it. She asked every roommate she had if they thought they could do it, because she was unsure. And she was an Ironman triathlete, repeatedly qualified for Kona, the toughest of the toughest riders, and she didn't think she could do it. And I think maybe I'm a little crazier than her, so I thought I could do it. But she ended up being the most inspirational rider person I have known in a long time. So, and all the rest of the people were like that. It was crazy, the people that we had, and how awesome they were. Yeah.
He said, did everyone finish?
Yeah, but, and bless their hearts, we had people who were 76 years old.
Wow.
Our youngest was 45, and then there was a 58-year-old and me, and then everybody else was between this and 76. And these women did it. I'm going to say 6 or 7 were on e-bikes, and I honestly, if you're 72 or 75 or 76 years old and you ride your bike across country on an e-bike, more power to you, But, and those gals never quit because they had help. And it's just 25 to 40% easier, but it doesn't matter. Not every day did everybody ride the whole way, because the course was all pre-planned, and we would take off in the morning, and at 20, we would have a SAG stop, and at 40, and at 60, and at 80, depending, and every day was a different length. But you could take a bump, meaning that's not the bump you're thinking, right? you could start at 20 and ride the rest, or you could start at 40 and ride the rest, or you could ride for 20 and it's raining, I don't want to ride anymore, and stop, and I mean, as a matter of fact, one day I had such bad flat tires that someone lent me their bike so I could finish, because I wasn't dead yet. I wasn't going to stop, right? It had been pouring down rain on me for 7 hours, and I guess my eyes don't see well enough to see the difference between glass and water on the road. So, but everybody rode the last day, and everybody rode, unless they had the flu or had wrecked the day before, everybody stayed with the group until the end. One gal hit the wall and wanted to go home, and we wouldn't let her. Thank God. She was the neatest person. So that's a different kind of answer, Kenny, but that's the truth, is that some people took days off, and some people took parts of days off, but we were all on our own little adventure, and it wasn't a race, and it wasn't about who wanted to do it. There were some of us who wanted to ride EFI every freaking inch, and some of us who didn't. And I'll be honest, I missed 140 miles because I had technical issues with my bike.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I ended up buying a bike in Austin.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So.
If you remember.
How many miles per day did you average?
Oh, sorry. 61 miles, including the 9 days off. So we had 9 days off. We really actually rode 49, but 49 days. When I divided it up, it was 61 miles a day all throughout. And 61 miles. Okay. But there was a day that was 23, because you kind of had to go to hotel, right? There was one day that was 119. There were many 70, 80, 90 mile days. And when we'd have a day that was 50 miles, we'd be like, whew, that's easy. I know. It was crazy. A whole different mentality. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. But tell us what's next for Dr. Jennifer Milus?
Yes.
I'm sorry you can't hear me.
He said, what is next for Dr. Jennifer Milus?
Okay. So, I started a nonprofit right about the time I decided to do this, because I realized there were a lot of women out there, based on my experience last summer, who can't get good health care. So I started the nonprofit, and I'm kind of trying to get funding for that. And I'm still riding a lot, 250 to 300 miles a week. I'm still doing, yeah. But now I'm used to it. It's easier to stay in shape than to get in shape. That's my philosophy. And I'm retired, right? So I got to do something. It may as well be fun, right?
I don't know. 250 miles,
right?
Is it? Ooh.
Yeah. And I'm doing events. Like this past Saturday, I did a century. That, long story short, I had another technical difficulty, and I only did 73 because I missed 30 miles in the middle. Ended up coming by the house and picking up a gravel bike and finishing. But I'm going to run my nonprofit. I'm speaking at my bone seminars. I'm teaching at the local college, Washington College. And every time I get like a payment for a class or a donation, it goes into the nonprofit, and then I divide it up and donate it to the cause of women's health. And I joined the rowing team here in town. And this is good news. I didn't realize this. Rowing is mostly legs. And my legs do what they're told. So I'm going to be a decent rower. I just had, anyway, that's fun. I'm playing golf. I'm lifting weights, and I'm hanging out.
I love that for you. And just kind of go off of what Kenny said, you talked about your nonprofit. So that had my eyebrow go up. Could you tell us the name of your nonprofit? Because you talked about Turbo, Erica, all the people you rode with, and you shouldn't have been there. Absolutely, you should. You have an amazing story of strength and resilience. And right now, in this moment, you are such an amazing inspiration to so many. Even though you're saying those individuals who are an inspiration to you, you are an inspiration to so many women. So, and men out here. So tell me what birthed your nonprofit and the name of your nonprofit.
Okay. That was so sweet. Don't make me cry.
Oh, it is. It is true. It is absolutely true. We got the backline, the backstory, and everything before we had this interview. So
Yeah.
you
So you
have
already
an
know this.
amazing story.
I always wanted to be like a public speaker or motivational speaker, and I didn't really have something to talk about until I realized so few people knew about osteoporosis, and then it turned into a whole health or women's health thing. And and when I decided that I needed to do a nonprofit, when I realized how bad healthcare is where I live, and then looked around and realized it's the whole country. And I decided I wanted to start this organization that would help women who needed help getting good health care and affording the good health care because their insurance company denied it. And I started talking to my best friend, whose name is KK. She surprised me in Texas and came and visited me. Isn't that crazy? From Colorado. She's the best friend there ever was. Anyway, KK and she's the vice president, or I'm the CEO, and she's whatever that is, like I've never done this before, right? And we just started talking about let's find something that signifies women, right? Luna is, Luna bars. I'm not naming it after that, but the moon is kind of a symbol of womanhood, because women are so closely tied to the moon. I don't know if you probably know this, Melissa. As the moon goes through its phases, so does a woman's cycle.
Absolutely.
And if the moon can, sorry, Kenny, this might be too much information. If the moon can control the tides on the whole earth, it can affect our moods and our whole internal cycle. Yep. And so Luna has become, it's the moon, and it's associated with women, right? So I wanted something that made it an acronym of Luna. So it's Ladies Underserved Needs Alliance. And our website is lunaalliance.org, because I couldn't just get Luna because somebody else took it from me. No, took it before. So it's Luna, Ladies Underserved Needs Alliance. Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you're going to be at Washington College, speaking at Washington College. If the listeners want to reach out or want to come and see you speak, how do we get connected? How will they get connected to you?
It is through WC All. You would look up on Washington College's website. I guess it's washingtoncollege.org, but it's in Chestertown, Maryland. And the workshop is through WC All, which is Washington College Lifelong Learning College, WC. It's on the website, WC All. Okay. I can't remember what the A stands for, but anyway, and then you join for $85 a year, and you can go to any class. And they teach all kinds of cool stuff, but it's for people who want to learn things that are not college kids. So fortunately or unfortunately, I'm happy to be of service to anybody who wants to listen to what I might tell them. But I want to get people to come to that class that are 35 and 40, but I get their mothers. And I keep trying to get them to come, but they would have to sign up through WCL and to do it this fall. I am still dealing with the ramifications of that health crisis. So eventually I will start doing other seminars, and they will be on my website on drjenspeaks.com and on my Facebook pages. But actually it'll be on lunaalliance.org too, where I go places, and I've spoken in Maryland, Delaware, and California, and they could sign up that way too. I just haven't put anything on my schedule yet, but I will. I've just got to get through this fall.
And you will, and you
Yeah.
definitely will.
Yeah, and the WCL thing is in November, October, November. So it's a 6-week course. Anyway.
So with that, Kenny, do you have any questions for Dr. Jen? I know we were going to do some rapid fire, but mine was definitely about Luna Alliance, and I am so honored to actually have you here tonight. We've been trying to get you on for a while, so to be able to catch up with you has been amazing. I love it. Kenny,
Yeah,
questions?
Yes, Jen, not a question. Jen, first of all, Melissa's probably going to have to interpret because I don't know what's got going on here. But thank you for your time. You and I have talked about doing this a while ago.
well, yeah.
So I have your contact information. I'm up here in New Jersey. Are you back in Maryland? You're in Maryland.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not far from you. I'm in Chestertown. I live in Chestertown. Yeah. On the Eastern Shore. Yeah.
To me than I am to my mother. So yes, I'm going to reach out to you and see if we can get something going up here for you.
Yeah.
And whatever you need.
Yeah, that'd be great. Absolutely.
It was very inspirational. I mean, wow, you've done a lot.
I think I'm a little hyperactive, Kenny. So I'm just kind of living my dream. But this was great. I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me, and I'll talk about health to anybody who wants to hear it. So
I love it.
You know, there was one thing you didn't ask, and I want to make sure that real quick. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, don't apologize.
3 things that people can do just on their own without help for their bone density. 1 is corner stretches, where you walk into the corner and stretch your pecs to stretch out the front. 2 is a kettlebell deadlift with a flat back, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because osteoporosis is a systemic disease. And when you lift weights in such a way, like a kettlebell, you increase osteoblastic or bone building exercise with every rep, your whole body. And the last thing is called heel drops, like little mini jumps. You'd have to start out, with 10 a day and maybe work up by each week by 10 till you're like 100 reps a day after several months. But those things all add to your postural change, right? And your bone density. So 3 simple things, pretty easy, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And we all need it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
absolutely. And we would love to have you back if you have the time in your schedule between your rides. And
I'll make time.
Okay, I appreciate it. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to connecting with you in October, November for the class. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And I can bring the masses with me if I can.
Yeah, I'd love to have you. Oh, that would be great. Yeah, just let me know.
Absolutely.
And it's an hour a day once a week for 6 weeks.
Okay.
If you wanted to figure out how to put it on the air, I'm happy to do it. We could do
Absolutely.
A team effort. Yeah.
That would be an honor.
Yeah.
We can connect with Armand and get with Kenny, and we can all get together and collaborate.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
love that word.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to sit with us and educate us. And I look forward to having you back on the show soon.
Anytime. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good night.